button so people can hear us and see us. I think they should be able to hear you guys as well. We'll go into that rolling start, you guys.
Rolling start.
Rolling. Is it a Limp Bizkit kind of thing?
Exactly what it is.
Hi, Ryan Turford.
Timeless reference we could make. Hi, Ryan Turford.
Yeah, man.
Hello, Ryan.
Hello. Well, Kato couldn't be here today. I know that I saw on Twitter. Actually, let me see if I can find her exact tweet to get her sentiments, at least on the digital record on here.
I saw her tweet.
Did you see this?
I haven't.
And she got a lot of support for this tweet as well. She said, "I'm underwhelmed. K-bye." 100 likes. Yeah, she her community is on board with this, but probably will be until maybe another Animal Crossing is announced.
I'm surprised by that, actually.
Yeah, I am too. I thought it should be all about these farming games coming out. Like,
Right.
there's so many. I thought it'd be right up her alley.
Yeah.
If it was for anyone, I thought it would be for someone like her.
It's for Ryan
Maybe someone a
Turford.
bit too Japanese, though.
It's yeah, maybe, perhaps, yeah.
Tony Baker's a charmer here in the chat.
Oh my goodness
kind.
gracious! Yeah, we're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to do this more often, you guys. I can already tell. This is gonna be good stuff.
Super fun.
Well, it's funny because I was reaching out to Seth earlier. I was kind of I came to understand that timing wasn't really going to work out for Kato and I. Like, it was the thing was airing at a time that I couldn't live stream it, so Ryan and Court did it this morning. And normally Kato and I would be wrapped by then, like we would be finished. But it didn't make any sense to record this week's episode of the Nintendo Drive moments before the direct.
Yeah.
So like we just kind of missed it. And so Kato and I couldn't get together for this. So I was reaching out to Seth. And right after I reached out to Seth, I saw Drew in our group chat going like, "Hey, looking for any co-hosts." So I'm like, let's just get together. We'll do it here on YouTube and we'll just blast it out onto whatever podcast feed. So that's kind of what we're here to do.
Heck yeah.
Put it on the darkest corner of the internet for
Yes.
just the slimiest people to find.
Yes. Yeah, it's our new tactic. We're just going to copy and paste. Why do individual podcasts, you guys? Why are we all working so hard? Do one
We're working too
podcast,
hard.
broadcast
Yeah.
it to, we're going to start like some sort of like syndication. Is what we got to do. We got like our main network and like all our local stations. We got Australia, Canada, America.
US, yeah, different towers. Yeah.
That's right. Coming together. The beauty and connection of video games. I'm so glad I'm the meat in the sandwich, Court. I know,
yeah.
Pat.
It's
Pat,
between
you know.
our pieces of bread.
Yeah. I'm watching before they take over the world. We are the world, okay? We're all like, you know, we're the ride at Disney World. It's a small world after all. We're all just kind of. We'll get a little Australian
Small
moment over
Nintendo
here.
World after all.
Yep. That's kind of what we're doing.
Never been to Disney World, Disneyland. Don't have them over here.
Neither have I.
Oh, you
I
got
haven't been either.
Seth.
Yeah. Been to Universal. Never been to Disney.
Oh, Universal's great too. How does that like you're very isolated, Drew. You're way out there, and it's like all the stuff's over here.
Yeah. That's
kinda
Australia in a
sucks.
nutshell. But it's nice and quiet. You go outside and you hear the birds chirping and
Yeah.
all that. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
they're
not too
enjoying nature and whatnot, going surfing and whatnot, and we're over here like, I want to go to Disney World.
Yeah. You just
bad. Yeah,
drive
that's what I do
there.
every day.
It's a bit of a trek for
Yeah.
us here too. Like, it's not like I just drive around the corner, stop by Disney World. It's-
Yeah, if I really wanted to go, I probably would have been by now. But maybe not that much.
Probably.
If I'm in America, though, I will. I think it's just the thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
Once you're in the
Very
vicinity.
American experience, for sure.
Waiting in lines for 3 hours.
Waiting in lines
Very
for
expensive.
overpriced, corn dogs and whatnot. Yeah.
Is it overrated, though? Or is it like adjusted just right? Is it good?
I can't speak to it. But
Yeah.
I could
Sean?
see why some people might say it's overrated, because
Yeah.
I would hype it up so badly. Like, I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
like,
yep.
it's just, it's the happiest place on earth, man. Like but you have to kind of know what you're doing as well. Like, I would definitely say don't go in blind, like, have a plan, but that's of course me saying that sort of thing. So be right back, kids stopping by Disney World for lunch. Exactly. Just like, just go around the corner. Bobby used to go all the time as well. Bobby used to have like a membership kind of thing.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he wasn't even like close to it. He was in Jersey.
I was gonna say he's in Jersey. How is he getting over there so often?
Yeah,
was he going to a Florida one or what?
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
it became a
gosh.
thing. One of the notable assets in his divorce, actually. But maybe that's all I'll say about it. Like it was definitely a thing. All right, do you guys want to do like a thing here? Do you guys want to do a thing?
Let's do a podcast.
I want to be sensitive to the fact that this is also going to air on Drew's feed as well with the House of Mario, which I think is amazing. But you don't have any of your music, so I don't know how you want to handle that part, Drew. If you want to do like the doors and the highways are open.
Nah, that's all good. It's all good. We'll
We'll do it a cappella.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll do a Nintendo Drive silly little intro if that's all right with you.
Go
guys.
for it, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Guard your ears, everybody. Wait, who are you guys? You're okay. So like Kato's the sauciest potato. Okay.
You can call me whatever you want.
I don't know what I'm gonna say, but it's about to happen.
I'm the droopiest farmer. I don't know.
Oh, I know exactly what I'm gonna say about you.
Okay.
Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most wholesome Nintendo podcast on the internet. It's the Nintendo Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my international friends, Drew Agnew, the handsome host of the House of Mario podcast, and Seth Sturgill from All In. And we're going to talk all about that amazing Nintendo Direct today. So let's jump on into the Nintendo Drive. Ball. Here we go. My friends, we are here to discuss the amazing, the incredible, the show-stopping Nintendo Direct that we watched earlier today. My name is Sean Capri. I am joined by some of the greatest Nintendo podcast hosts on planet Earth, literally representing multiple continents here. First, I'm joined by Seth Sturgill from All In. How you doing, my friend?
Hi, what's up, buddy?
Hi.
Good to see everyone.
Welcome back,
Hi.
fan favorite.
Fan favorite? No kidding. Well, I'm happy to be a fan favorite. I guess you guys, I'm fans of both of you, of Drew and Sean, and any chance we can get to collab. It's super fun, man. So happy to be here.
We are adult children celebrating video games, and equally fan favorite, tied for first place of fan favorites, the handsome host of the House of Mario podcast. Hi, Drew. Hi, Drew Agnew. I can't pick favorites. How can I do that?
Hello, boys.
Hello.
How we going?
Hello.
Likewise, big fan of you boys. I'm glad I can sit here and have a discussion with you. Talk about some cool stuff. Some
So
commercial
exciting.
products we'll be buying in the future. Very exciting.
We've been marketed to today, gentlemen.
Nintendo's marketing team has done a not too bad a job, eh?
40
Still cool
minutes.
about
40 minutes of amazing. I thought it was amazing. I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here a little bit, but we're going to go through, I think, most, if not everything that was announced earlier today. And for anybody who's listening across a variety of podcast feeds, we're doing an amazing mega Nintendo crossover event. This podcast is going to air on the Nintendo Drive podcast feed, as well as, I believe, on the House of Mario podcast feed. So I think it's pretty awesome. Seth doesn't want any part of this. So it's just Drew and I. We just want to make sure that our community's here.
My internet's been too testy. I was like, let me not try to like co-stream this and stuff and ruin everything. So
No, it's all
I'm
good.
here for the party. That's it. I'm just here for the party, man.
Ginger M in the chat says, I love this chaos, and we're just getting started. But, you know, there's three hosts here, really, so we're all like, who's driving the thing here? We're live here at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, so I suppose I'll start to like kick things off, and I'm really curious to hear from you guys because I was on a bus going into work watching Court and Ryan stream here on our YouTube channel, and I was in all caps the entire time. I had an absolute blast. So we'll kind of start maybe like high level, Drew. Like, where are you at? Like, how did you watch the whole thing? You're in international waters, so I'm not sure how you even like were able to watch it and now be here. I don't even know, 12 hours later. So how are you doing? How are you feeling overall, man?
I was good because last year for the September Direct, it was about 8:30 in the morning for me. So no, it was 7:30 in the morning. So I literally just started work, and I was bent over shearing a sheep just with my AirPods in, and all I could hear was Miyamoto say that Jack Black is going to play Bowser. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But this year it was great because it was at 11:30 at night, and it's not the most convenient time, especially as a new dad. I need my sleep, but no work, nothing like that, so it was all good. I got to tune in, and I really enjoyed it, man. It was a sort of a great direct. I wouldn't say it was the best direct or a super amazing direct, but I think for me, I've got at least a good handful of games that I'm really excited to play, and I think stuff like Fire Emblem and even Atelier Ryza, it's all coming out in the first couple of months, early next year. So I think that's the most exciting thing. We've got a full year of announcements still to come, apart from Zelda in May, which is awesome. So I can't really ask for too much, but they did have sort of a little bit too much of a certain genre. I think it's sort of universally accepted across the internet, even if you are a big fan of that genre. But we'll get into that a bit later. But yeah,
you got your own sheeps to shear, Drew. Enough of this. Of this farming.
That's right. I don't need any more of that in my life.
Digital sheeps to shear.
Nintendo trying to sell me 10 of them. So, all right, that's enough.
Well, the good news is all the games are coming out all at the exact same time. They all look like they're 400 hours each. So yeah, we'll all figure this out at some point. If the anxiety hasn't set in already. How about you, Seth? Man, like where are you at with today's direct?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I wasn't blown away, to be honest with you. Which is weird. I'm normally the very
what the heck is happening here?
Enthusiastic one. It's funny because I think I might have come into this direct with a little bit of I kind of felt like, especially after we didn't get one in June, there were a lot of people who were like, I'm looking for that big first party thing, and there was some of that, right? And it was great to get a title reveal and a date reveal for Zelda and things like that, but there are a lot of things, especially, I'm so sick of the rumor and the leak culture and all of that. And coming into it, everybody's like, there's going to be Zelda ports, there's going to be Metroid Prime Remake and everything. And of course, neither of those happened. And we got some really, great stuff in here for sure. But I felt that for my personal taste, not a lot of it spoke to me. But I mean, objectively, this was a great direct. I'm kind of with Drew, the overabundance of life and farming sims. It's not my genre. It's not really my cup of tea. But I can look at it objectively and said this is an objectively great direct, even if not everything, maybe not even the majority of it speaks to me personally.
It is funny. Yeah. We'll get into almost, I feel like that's like a segment of today's conversation. It's just let's round up all of the farming simulator kind of things. It's interesting, just as I think the Animal Crossing community in general is kind of just really thirsty for something new. And I don't know if this is trying to, if there's a bunch of developers out there who identify that Animal Crossing or that genre is a thing that's happening and they're trying to feed into it, and maybe people don't really want it. So that's the overall take. I'm so surprised. I have been developing a bit of a nasty reputation on the show over the last couple of weeks. And even I think, Drew, you and I were chatting on your show, we're just really salty about Nintendo lately.
Oh, I feel so bad about it too.
I don't know if I've just been I was in a goofy mood, or if I didn't have enough sleep and it was the caffeine just coursing through my veins. But I had a great time watching it. Maybe that's all I'm really basing my excitement on. It's just, I had a lot of fun, and it started off really well with Fire Emblem. But I can't ignore, Seth, your point about the leak culture and all the things that we thought were a sure thing. Even as I was typing out my tweet today, here's my last minute predictions, and I think it was something about Zelda remakes and the Metroids were in there. And even as I was typing, I'm like, those are givens. Why am I even typing that out? And it is because of all of this, my uncle works at Nintendo mentality that isn't really there. Right. But I will say that even without that, I still managed to come out of this really positively, and I'm excited about, I don't even know how many games. Do we have a count on how many games they had here? 40 minutes, just jam-packed. So yeah, overall, I'm doing pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe we can, again, kind of shift gears a little bit. That's a car pun we got to use on this show a little bit more often. Shift gears over into just kind of best and worst, and then maybe we can cover more comprehensively between that. But maybe we could start with best and or least, maybe most excited and most disappointed. Drew, maybe we'll start with you. What caught your eye? What was the best part of today's direct?
Well, I think we're all probably going to say Zelda, but we can save that for like more general conversation about it. You wouldn't? Okay, that's good. It's
I don't think I would either.
Oh well, I don't want to put words in your boys' mouths. I'm sorry about that.
Yep.
But
it would have been unless you said it.
I think for me, when the game that got the most out of me was Atelier Ryza 3. I've become like a bit of a fan of that series over the last few years. Atelier Sophie 2, which came out earlier this year, was really good. I've still got to finish it, mind you. God forbid I finish a game. But it's just a really great series, and it's just improved dramatically over the last probably like 3 years. It's gone from a pretty ordinary JRPG to something that I think is actually quite special. And this is the third game in a trilogy, so like if you guys haven't played it, you can't jump straight into it. But I'm happy that was here. I think that's cool. Nintendo showcased that game. Also, like Octopath Traveler 2, that was I don't think that was on anybody's list.
No,
as far as like expectations. So I think that's great that that's coming out. And Fire Emblem at the start as well.
Thank you.
I like how they start these directs with Fire Emblem all the time. The last direct we got Fire Emblem, Three Hopes, and I loved that game. That game made me a bigger Fire Emblem fan than I've probably ever been. And Fire Emblem for me, I've always sort of fallen off of it, but like the artwork and just the whole style that game has, it looks like the colors. I'm all about that.
Beautiful.
All about the color. Oh, it's gorgeous. So I cannot wait for that game. And honestly, it's not too far away. Come like Christmas time, the holidays, that all passes over. We've got a brand new Fire Emblem game to play at the end of January. So that's going to be great as well. So there's some of like the highlights as well as Zelda. I think it's great to get some more information on that. We got a brand new title, which we were laughing before the show how it's just the whole thing going on in the UK with the death of our queen. It's I don't know, it's a little bit ironic.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Jesus. It's pretty funny.
So on the nose. It's so bad.
Unfortunate timing. Yeah.
I'd love to just be a fly on the wall at Nintendo's marketing team. Like,
you've
Christ,
got
really?
to be kidding me.
What are we gonna do? Yeah.
She's been alive for 94 years and she dies now. I'm trying to market this big blockbuster game. Jesus.
Oh my goodness gracious. I want to hang on Fire Emblem for a little bit, or maybe Seth. Maybe I'll toss over to you before. Like, was that one of them, or is there any other kind of like highlights for you out of today's direct?
I'm not like a huge Fire Emblem guy, to be honest. Like I like Fire Emblem. Don't you know? I like Fire Emblem. I'm sorry, I like it.
Wrong answer.
I got into it with Awakening. Like Awakening was my first one, and I played all the 3DS ones and enjoyed them. Three Houses, I've owned it since it came out. It's literally still in the plastic. I literally haven't played it.
Yeah.
And so like I keep telling myself one day I'm gonna go back and play it. And now there's a new one coming out already, and I don't know, So but I think it looks great. Like I was happy to see it. I know it's well past time for many people, and I think it looks beautiful. I think the title is super weird.
Yes.
Fire Emblem Engage. That's like a super bizarre title, but I think it looks gorgeous. I love this has got to be right up there with like Xenoblade 3 is one of the prettiest Switch games. Like it just looks so beautiful.
That was the thing that jumped out to me was we're so used to seeing these games on a handheld. Like so many of us played the 3DS games, and Three Houses was there, but it's still kind of early. I would say like this seems to be really built from the ground up. Of course, I'm just shooting from the hip here. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it just seems different, a little bit brighter, a little bit more detailed. And so Fire Emblem, like for me, a huge reason I'm so positive on today's direct is because of the way that it launched with this. And it was, it represents to me like the title I think is part of it, but the overall visual style, like there's so many comments out there when we talk about Fire Emblem. Most of them came from when all the characters came into Smash. It's like, oh, another like generic Fire Emblem thing. Like, I don't think that there was much generic about this at all. Like there was a lot of personality and charm to it that I'm really excited. I'm maybe getting a little bit nervous about all the RPGs that are happening. Like this kind of kickstarted it. But Ryan Turford, who hosts the RPG Cave at Carpool Gaming, was just like losing his shirt the entire time.
yeah.
It was incredible. But that was definitely like probably like top of the list. And to the point earlier of was it ruined thanks to elite culture? No, because this actually I was so distracted by Metroid and Zelda and stuff. I should have seen this coming because we've heard rumors about this for a long time, but Fire Emblem fell off my radar. So it was a kind of a nice like, oh yeah, look at that. Let's do this.
Because screenshots of this game did leak like a couple of months ago. There was like an image of one of the playable character with like the blue and red hair. I was like, oh yeah, well that was true. Cool. Looking forward to that. I'm interested though, like I didn't see Koei Tecmo's name on any of the splash screens or anything, so I'm wondering if they're involved in development. Because it was rumored that Gus, the developer behind the Atelier series, was working on it as well. They're a studio under Koei Tecmo. So I'm interested, like, who's actually behind it. Is it just Intelligent Systems, or is it still, getting help from Koei Tecmo? But I like the whole sort of story about it too. Like, just looking at the blurb on that Nintendo's put out for the game, like, it's in the war against the Fell Dragon, 4 kingdoms work together with heroes from other worlds to seal away this great evil. So I don't know if that's like within the actual playable character itself, like a Naruto situation. When you got this, that'd be pretty cool. Like, I'm all about where this story is going to go, because Fire Emblem, like in recent times, has told really great stories. So keen to get into it. Hopefully, I stick with it and I finish it. I think I can relate to Sean when I don't stick to games. It's getting harder as I'm getting older, but
it happened. I haven't finished 3 houses. Some people have done like all 3 paths on that, and it's like, no. But that is, I've just come to learn that it doesn't necessarily speak to my overall enjoyment of a game. I just always want to be clear when I'm talking about it as far as like a critical perspective. Like, I haven't finished it, but I enjoyed it, and I haven't even gotten, like, to be honest, I haven't gotten very far in it at all. But I love me some Fire Emblem. I want to see who these characters are. That was the one thing, and maybe it was because I was watching other people watch it. I didn't pull away a lot of those threads that you were just talking about as far as the story goes. And that's usually what I'm there for. Like, what's happening? What's the conflict? And it's interesting just thinking about like the Heroes games and how maybe those were planting the seeds for something like this, where more of a mainline game could be a multiverse kind of thing. I almost hate using the word, but I'm intrigued. But in any case, yeah.
It's interesting because you're like collecting rings to like summon past Fire Emblem characters.
Yeah,
you saw in the trailer like Marth shows up. Like, oh, Marth, what's he doing here?
What's he doing?
And I was just thinking, is this a remake of the first game, or like, what's going on here? But it seems like they're trying to draw from characters from the past as well. So hopefully that's done in a tasteful way, and it's not just done for IP sake when they're trying to milk nostalgia or whatever from fans. Hopefully it's there for a legit reason. It's not too corny. But I guess if it's corny, it's not too bad. But
they know where their bread is buttered, right? I mean, they know where their bread is buttered. I mean, like the most successful Fire Emblem game is Fire Emblem Heroes. Like, they know that people love these characters.
True.
They know that people like they people want to be able to kind of like, and I'm not trying to imply that there's some sort of gotcha mechanic. I doubt there will be, but but people love these characters, and people love the idea of like working these kind of classic characters into a modern Fire Emblem game. So to me, it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, that's probably enough about Fire Emblem. So since maybe it's my top game, I think, but maybe nobody else's.
Let me say this: my top game, and I feel like nobody else on planet Earth this is probably nobody else's top game on planet Earth. My top game is Theater Rhythm. Final
nice,
Line.
Jump to it, yeah, man.
Oh my gosh, I just want to briefly talk about that game. Is so exciting to me. The first the Theater Rhythm games on 3DS are like top 3 3DS games for me. These are really, really good rhythm games that have like interesting like combat and RPG mechanics worked into it, that like they do amazing jobs with like the post-launch DLC songs that they're carrying over into this, and I'm like, they're gonna get so much of my money with this. Of all the 3DS series that like I am glad is making the jump over to Switch, I'm glad it's this. goodness, this was the one announcement that I actually like freaked out about. I did not see this coming.
I saw your reaction. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was awesome.
There were a few people jumping up about this, and I think it also speaks to, while there's a lot of the same type of thing, there's like, who saw this coming? This is out of left field, and I think represents at least a little bit of the variety, although maybe some people were looking for different variety out of today's event.
Yeah.
They wanted their first-person shooter.
Excited for that game, man. I'm so excited for that game. It's gonna be so good. Like these games have incredible music. I mean, all these like Square Enix games, because they even said like for DLC, we're gonna get music from Nier and Live Alive, and I'm so excited for that. And I'm a big video game music guy anyway. I'm a big rhythm game fan and stuff. So this series checks all the boxes for me, and I'm so hyped.
Yeah, because I'm not like a massive Final Fantasy fan in the way that I'd probably want to get a rhythm game all about it, but I do love rhythm games, so I probably will look at this depending on when it comes out and how much money I want to spend at said time, et cetera, et cetera. But like for my favorite franchises, which would probably be like the Nintendo franchises. If Nintendo made like the exact same game just with like Pokemon, Mario, Zelda music, I'd be all over that.
Oh my god!
So I could definitely see why you're excited, because I love the idea of this, and just like DLC coming to it, I think it's going to be great for just Square Enix fans. It's going to be awesome. So I'm glad that it's here. I don't think anyone sort of dismissing it. It's just like, it's fair enough, but.
I was blown away by the number of songs. What do they have, like 400 songs or something like this?
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
It was almost too many slices, but maybe not for me. Like that was one where I was breathing a little bit. There was a couple moments where I was like, okay, I can just kind of like, I can pause. I can get my heart rate back to normal here, which is fine. And that kind of happened, I think, right after Fire Emblem, and we had like It Takes Two was in there. But before we get into any other specifics, Drew, is there anything else like spotlight, like top of mind that you want to when you want to talk about? I definitely have something in case you guys don't. But I wanted to throw it back over to you.
Go for it, man.
Well, for me, and call me whatever you want, but I really enjoyed our update on NSO, actually, with all of the different 64 games that were coming. What did we get? Like Pilot Wings, I think, and a bunch of Mario Party games, which was wild, and 1080 snowboarding. And then Goldeneye was kind of like part of the mix here. And I feel like Goldeneye is one that people are going to be talking about quite a lot, because we learned separately that game is also going to be coming to Xbox through Game Pass, and also retroactively added to Rare Replay, which was a collection of 30 other Rare games. So if you own Rare Replay, they're just going to add it, which I think is really interesting over in Xbox land. Yeah. So obviously some sort of, legal negotiations on how this was going to exist in both places. This, none of us are really lawyers here, so we don't really know exactly what the complications were, but there have been enough complications, copyright and trademark wise, that have kept Nintendo or Xbox from using this title over the last 25 years or something. So we just imagine maybe that was part of the deal, but I'm excited nonetheless. GoldenEye is coming back to a Nintendo console, and the multiplayer is exclusive. You can only play multiplayer online on Nintendo Switch. And Drew, I know you were having a conversation, I think, with Donnie online about this as well. So maybe I'll throw it to you on this GoldenEye reveal.
Yeah, I think it's like, this is just my take. I'm probably wrong, but I think just with how Nintendo's app works, it's just the one app where it has access to all the games, and Nintendo's set it up so it's relatively simple to add games to this, and then the online infrastructure just treats it like you're playing on the console in the same room. So you're going to see the split screen, you're going to see all that. You can, even if you're playing like NES games, you can just grab the controller off your mate from the other side of the world and start playing The Legend of Zelda or something. So there isn't anything particularly in the code or anything people have gone into it like to make it like a more modern shooter where it's just like you've got the one screen and all of that. So I just imagine on the Xbox side that whoever's behind developing it, whether it is Rare or just another studio that's been called in, I think it was just a lot more work to make it happen. But it is a shame because honestly, I'd much prefer to play it on Xbox with the 4K and widescreen support and all of that, because like, you know, Banjo-Kazooie on Rare Replay was awesome.
Yes.
And that was an Xbox 360 game, mind you. But how it was just like widescreen with achievements and all that, I was like, oh, okay, that's exactly what I want from Nintendo 64 games. That's what I wanted from Mario 64 on the 3D All-Stars collection. Just widescreen, bit better controls, call it a day, maybe 1080p.
Yeah.
But we're getting that on Xbox, but it's kind of, it's a bit of a monkey's paw situation where you're getting those upgrades on Xbox, but you can't play online, which is pretty important these days. And on Switch, you can play it online and see if it works, mind you. There's no guarantees there. We've been playing Splatoon a little bit this weekend, and
oh yeah, tell me about it. Yeah,
I gave up a bit after that, but I hope it works out, because I had a couple of mates just kind of lose their shit because they were all like big GoldenEye fans from back in the day. Because honestly, I don't have the nostalgia for GoldenEye. None of my friends had the game, and Nintendo 64 was just a system I went over to my mate's place and played it that way. They had like, you know, Mario 64, Smash Brothers, and a lot of games would actually have become like favorites of mine, but GoldenEye wasn't one of them. So I'm keen to just probably play one night with some really ecstatic friends, and they just know everything and just completely roll me in GoldenEye over some network problems, and that probably most likely. But yeah, it's interesting though, I think, guys, just with how it's working, how the Xbox doesn't have online play. It's a shame. I would like to know the answer. Like Donnie, he mentioned when we were just doing a couple of tweets back and forth, that it might be on the Nintendo side being like, hey, look, we don't want the Xbox version having online play, and that's a part of our agreement to get this game legally on both systems. That could be potentially it as well. And it could be a mix of both, to be honest. But yeah, maybe Jeff Grubb can do some work and figure that out for us.
Well, we're going to get to Jeff Grubb in a little bit with this whole like grubby fun gear thing going on with Splatoon, I think, in a little bit. But Seth, I want to chat with you about this as well. Like, where are you at with the NSO updates? Is there anything in particular about GoldenEye you want to chat about? And while you gather your thoughts, I would just want to point out we're also watching the trailers as we talk about each one of these games, and I just noticed as the GoldenEye reveal is happening, it kind of shows like the NSO kind of app, I guess, firing up. And in the corner, there's a little Easter egg. It seems like a profile picture referencing Metroid. I thought that was interesting considering we didn't get Metroid here. Maybe that's a little hint.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm totally reading into it, but it's a little like player one.
Yeah.
There's a little icon in there.
They always do that. There's always a little Metroid icon in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe it is a hint. I don't know. But yeah, for me, yeah, look, these are great. Pilot Wing 64, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. These are great games. 1080
They're the ones I'm excited about.
Yeah, they're great games. What's weird is they very specifically, and I don't know if it was just to like dissuade any speculation or whatever, but they're in tiny text at the bottom. It's like, you cannot bring Pokemon into this. There's no transferring.
Right.
Don't get hyped about that. So that's a little bit of a bummer, because I saw some people who didn't catch that and they were speculating, oh, it's because they're going to add Pokemon to Game Boy NSO and we're going to be able to bring all of our... It's like, no shot. That's not going to happen.
Calm down.
But calm down a little bit. All right. But with GoldenEye, GoldenEye's really cool. This is going to sell subscriptions, regardless of the fact that, I don't know if any of y'all have played it recently. Game doesn't hold up. I played it like a year ago. Doesn't super hold up. However, there's so much nostalgia. Like, nostalgia sells.
Big time.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many people who buy expansion pack just because GoldenEye's on it. And they'll pop in there and they'll play some GoldenEye, and it's like, oh man, like this, even if they come away from it playing it once and saying, oh, this kind of sucks, Nintendo still got their money, so like, who cares?
Yeah. You're right. There's a lot of there's going to be a lot of information coming out, I think, about GoldenEye and the way that it's coming to Nintendo with this whole online thing, and with the upgrades coming out to Xbox. I'm curious on a number of fronts. Number one, controls, how that works. One of my biggest hangups on Star Fox 64, which I think is one of the best games on NSO expansion pack. But the controls are really tricky unless you have the new N64 controller. So I'm curious how that's going to work with GoldenEye, because it's just... That's a hurdle, man, at this stage. It's even, honestly, even with the N64 controller, I think GoldenEye would be tricky to go back to. So
yeah,
what I saw, though, and I think we'll cover this a little bit more on the Xbox Drive as well, is it seems like there's two different SKUs Like they're actually like separate in that Goldeneye for Switch seems like many of these other games, it's just a ROM dump, whereas the Xbox game is a remaster. Like it's totally. So I think controls could be impacted there, and we haven't had anything like this since like the Sega and Nintendo days, where like Mortal Kombat was a completely different game on each system. Like this is about as close to that as like really because we typically get parity across these games. So a lot to unpack here. And one other thing I just want to keep my tinfoil cap on here, if that's okay with you guys, is this seem like a pretty big dump of N64 games. Does that mean we're done with N64? We got our 1080. We got GoldenEye seemed like it's like the crown jewel, like never gonna happen. Does this mean GameCube is coming next? Does this mean Game Boy games are coming? Is there any? Seth is saying no. He doesn't want to buy into the. No. I want to start the rumor.
GameCube.
It starts here.
Shot with GameCube.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
wow. Calm down, Jeff.
No chance.
No chance. I love you very much, Sean. But there's no chance with GameCube on NSO. Not gonna happen.
Interesting.
That IP is too valuable. The IP for GameCube is too valuable to give away for not even I'm not even saying free, to give away for the price of expansion pack.
Sure.
They would much rather just do like an AI upres and sell you Thousand Year Door for $60.
I get it.
Like that's what they're gonna do, you know? They would rather do that than put it on expansion pack or whatever. Now Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, I think are much more likely.
Agreed.
And we know that they've already got emulation for those apps, working and up and running and everything. So I do expect that sometime in the future. And I think they're hedging their bets a little bit here because they announced these handful of games and they said, hey, this is coming this year. This is coming in 2023. They're leaving themselves a little bit of breathing room to come out later and say, hey, this is, maybe sometime in 2023, here's where we're going to integrate Game Boy Color, that way. And maybe even other third party, what if they did a Dreamcast app? You know what I mean? They've already,
Now we're talking. Yes. Okay.
What if they did something like that?
Absolutely no GameCube. Give me the Dreamcast. Yes, Seth. Now we're talking.
We'll get the Wonder Swan app or something.
That'd be sick. I would be super happy with that. So more third party apps would be cool.
Yeah, I think just with the GameCube as well, just from a technical standpoint, like every time they update a game to Nintendo's 64 online, like it's like a 30 megabyte update, you get the game, cool. But for the GameCube games, they can be up to 1.5 gigs. Yeah. So every single game they bring out, I don't think it will really work that well unless they separate the games out or something like that. But it kind of loses the magic and the whole point of having Nintendo Switch Online, having these apps where you can easily jump into and play with friends. And with the games being a bit more technical, how does that work on Nintendo's back end of making them online, swapping them around? But obviously, I'd love to say that. I'd love to get Super Smash Bros. Melee and Mario Kart Double Dash and all of this just on your Switch. It would be awesome. But I think...
Dude, we saw 2 GameCube remasters today. We saw 2 of them today. Like, they're already happening. You know what I mean? So,
well, I'm glad you guys are bringing a dose of reality to this, because really what I tricked you, actually. I wanted to squash this ridiculousness that GameCube games are coming. I've never believed it, not for a single second. But Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, I do think that there's something there. And really, the notion of what else is there, and this is maybe a topic for individual podcasts in the future, like what else on 64, what's still missing? I'm sure there's at least a few people or a few games that people could mention in the future.
Third party stuff. I want like you're talking about, 1080 snowboard. Give me Snowboard Kids. Give me Mischief Makers, give me weird stuff like Space Station Silicon Valley. Give me these ones, when these weird games come to like NES and Super Nintendo and everybody groans. I love that stuff.
I
want to see I'm the host of a show called Keep Nintendo Weird, full disclosure. But like I love that stuff, and that is the most exciting stuff for me, is the stuff I don't know about. You can give me first party Nintendo games all day long. I want to play some of this other stuff that is undersung and that gives me a chance to play. Like, it was so amazing to see Sin and Punishment on this thing at launch. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, we don't really get that anymore. We're just kind of getting the usual suspects, and we're kind of, I hate to say it, but like when it comes to N64, we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of first-party Nintendo stuff. Nintendo didn't have a ton of first-party output on N64. We're getting, after this, what else is there?
It's all on Rare Replay. It's all on Xbox.
and now to the point with GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie, I'm like, you got to imagine that other Rare stuff is at least on the table. Give me Diddy Kong Racing, you know what I mean?
Diddy Kong, that's the one. That's actually okay, if they can do GoldenEye, maybe they can figure out something with this game. Yeah. Drew, did you have anything? I think I might have derailed us a little bit. Any other games you want to make sure that we cover and chat about today?
Yeah, well, I think just jumping off the 64 one, I just really want Super Smash Brothers on the Nintendo 64 online.
It is surprising we don't have that yet. Yeah.
Mario Party, I think, sets a precedent that maybe that's possible. Like, before today, I would tell you you're crazy, but, like, I mean, why not? They had a bunch of Mario Party games there now, so seems like there's parity there. We don't need them, but yeah, I could see it.
Can we just take out Mario Party 1 and put Smash Brothers there? We can just play Mario Party 2 and 3. Can we just do a cheeky trade?
Propose a trade. Yeah. What else, man?
What else is here? I think my most exciting update was Mario Strikers Battle League Football. They got Paulina there, so the game is saved.
Stop.
So that's
the game is saved. That's all we were waiting on.
we also got Diddy Kong. So
it's everything we were asking for.
That's all
the only problem I ever had. Yeah, just no Pauline. That was my negative column for that game.
But that aside, how do you guys feel about the golf update coming to Nintendo Switch Online? Looks like it's been delayed, so it's not going to be here for a little while, but we got a new survival golf mode, which could be interesting. But it's weird how this game was sort of set up to be like a sort of an online game that keeps on updating to get you to come in, but it's just the content rollout's been so slow, and I don't know if I've gone back to it since probably May or early June.
Yeah. Definitely, this is part of my saltiness, I think, over this year, is like when I go from so hyped and so ready for a game to completely take over and let's all jump in and it's amazing, and then I'm not playing it 8 days later. Like, that happened maybe a couple times, and this game is one of them. I'm just taking a moment to see any of the fine print if this is trying to sneak anything in. It says up to 8 players online can play together on the same course in survival golf. I don't think that that's anything new or sneaky that they're trying to do, but like I am excited, but it comes with the caveat that it's coming later than we thought it was. We thought it was going to be maybe October or fall, and it's now part of a free winter update 2022.
Yeah.
Seth, where are you at with this?
Well, I feel like this also kind of taps into another reason I think I might be feeling a little bit soft on this direct, because I felt like a lot of the first party communication we had in here was a little bit like just weird, and like you like, for example, it felt weird to have this here, especially since it got a delay. It felt weird to get like Mario Kart 8 Wave 3, but here's like two of the tracks.
Yes.
And no release date or anything like that, just this holiday. Here's a little video for the Mario Strikers update. Here's like 5 minutes on Pikmin Bloom. Like, what are we doing? We're talking about Pikmin Bloom.
What was that?
It's hard to argue with these points.
And like Miyamoto's out there and he mentions the Mario movie. I thought, oh my God, we're actually going to see a Mario movie trailer. Today, it's Mario's birthday, for crying out loud. We're going to see a Mario movie trailer. And no, nothing. And so there was just a lot of weird, like, mixed communication. I felt like, why was, out of all the things that have had little like Twitter drops and updates over this past 6 months or so, these are the ones that are getting worked into a general direct. I just found that a little bit odd, but it is what it is. I think it's cool. I kind of bounced off of Nintendo Switch Sports. I play it with my family every so often, and it's fun, but yeah, this didn't really do a whole lot for me personally.
You are making too much sense here, Seth. Like, those, I can't argue with any of that. Like, the Pikmin Bloom thing really was pretty maddening, and I don't know.
That was wild.
Has anybody played this game? I've played it, and it's like it couldn't be deleted any faster off my phone.
I played it for a week. Yeah,
I haven't played it. Pokemon Go is just my game when I'm going around, so I don't need another one.
My kids were really excited about it, and I kind of just gave it a shot, and they asked about it a week later. I'm like, we can't play that game anymore. Like, I just can't. It felt very strange. I don't know if the idea, I'm just trying to like wrap my head around the Nintendo strategy here. Is like, is this the lead-in for Pikmin? Is this how they get you excited for Pikmin 4? Was this a troll? Like, was this them just like messing with us for 5 minutes, talking about this mobile game that you walk?
This Nintendo Direct, and maybe this is like my sort of bottom line thought is like, we all know that Nintendo Directs are big commercials, right?
Right.
But this is the first Nintendo Direct where it felt like one to me.
Yeah.
You know, like this.
Interesting.
This is the one where I was like it felt like we can sit here and have this conversation of like, oh, by the way, Super Nintendo World's happening. Oh, by the way, the Mario movie's still happening. Oh, by the way, here's Pikmin Bloom that's been out for like a year and you're not playing it. But But don't be too mad because Pikmin 4 is still a real thing. Here's a little short teaser, and don't be too mad about that. But, you know, so it felt a little like just tone deaf in terms of, you know, coming into this Direct, they had to have been cognizant of people wanted to hear that big first part. I've been hearing other Nintendo podcasts like all year long saying, you know, where are my big first party things to get excited about this year? Where's my Donkey Kong? Where's my Zelda? Where's my Mario? And
Zelda was
they
at
come
the
into
end.
this. Zelda was at the end, of course, but but even that was just like, you know, it's a great new trailer and everything, but you know, we got when it came to first party communication, it was all this like weird muddy stuff, and I think that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth.
Definitely
like
a Square Enix Direct is what I'm hearing a lot of people say.
Right.
But yeah, Drew, I saw you
Yes.
kind of like nodding along with Seth there.
Yeah, because like the Pokemon company, they do the same thing. Like, here's a Pokemon Violet and Scarlet video, but before we air that, here are 10 trailers for Pokemon Masters, Pokemon Go, Pokemon whatever. It's like, we do not care about them, but they're just trying to put them down our throats, and this just felt like that. Obviously, the game hasn't taken off the way they want it to, so they bring Miyamoto out. They know they've got their Nintendo audience captive, sitting in front of the screen. And it just felt like that. It's like, dude, I've got so much respect for you, but I couldn't care less about that game. I couldn't. And there's people in our Discord who really enjoy the game. It gets them out and walking, and it's just a sort of a more casual take than even Pokemon Go. So I think it does have its audience, but as far as bringing it out in the Direct, I understand why they did it, but yeah, just a little bit frustrating because you're just looking at the clock. You're looking at your watch, like, come on. Like,
You know
so-
it's 40 minutes. You know you want a big
Yeah.
deal to kind of close things off.
And they're like, hey, there's a new Bayonetta trailer, but not here. Go to our YouTube channels separately and go watch the Bayonetta trailer there. And it's like, why? Why couldn't we have just cut some time out of Pikmin Bloom, for crying out loud?
Oh,
and
I
put
thought
the
that was
Bayonetta
a
trailer in
content.
here?
I thought that was a content
You
thing.
know?
I think the trailer. I haven't watched the
Maybe.
trailer, but I imagine that it was maybe a little racy. They're trying to make sure that this stays Nintendo friendly, and maybe the
possible.
full on Bayonetta trailer was just a little too nasty for the Nintendo
little
Direct.
Too racy. I can
A little
see
too
that.
racy. I'm totally guessing, but yeah.
I think if they put in like a 10-minute gameplay trailer for Bayonetta, though, people would complain about that as well. That's a game we already know about, we've seen about, and like for me, I'm going to buy it and play it, and I don't know if I need any more information on it.
Yeah.
So I can see that being a complaint. I think that was a good sort of actual smart decision by Nintendo to put that out separately. People who want to go and see it can go and watch it, but otherwise we just got a bit more of a story overall update with the Bayonetta 3 trailer. Mm-hmm. The 65 on Metacritic, Sean. That game.
Yep, that's the one. You guys, you just wait and we'll see. I'm not too confident about that prediction, but we'll see. I want to talk about Splatoon, if that's okay with you guys. Splatfest coming. You know, again, this isn't a brand new game, but just out. We've been playing this a bunch. Nice to kind of see it getting a bit of a spotlight, keep people's attention on it. Seth? What were your thoughts on the Splatfest announcement?
It's a weird Splatfest, right?
Yeah,
it's
really
like
weird.
it's a weird like kind of concept for a Splatfest, and it's weird that they announced it here. It was cool because, of course, you know, again, this was a commercial for Splatoon 3 because it just came out. You know, it's like, hey, you know, we have this brand new game that just came out. Just in case you haven't bought it yet, you know, there are updates
Please
coming. There's an
buy it.
update coming next. Yeah, we have an update coming next weekend with the Splatfest and everything. They even had this weird thing on Twitter where they even said, like Drew kind of mentioned earlier, the connection issues. They had this little, at the same time, they're like, yeah, we have the Splatfest coming. We're working on matchmaking too. Like, it's cool, you know? And so it felt a little bit odd. But it's an interesting, I guess, the gear, grub, and fun, which, would you have on a deserted island?
Yeah.
Kind of cool, I guess.
The topics or the choices, the teams didn't feel nearly as like, this isn't going to be as divisive. I don't think. I was really loving the paper, rock, scissors, because it seemed like people really allied with like whatever side they chose. And I don't know that I feel very strongly about any of these. I'm very curious if anybody does. Like, you're nuts if you pick fun. Like, what is, I don't.
Team grub.
Yeah, I don't
gear.
Yeah. That, but
crazy.
It's important, and I'm very curious to see what else they have in store for us. But maybe it's just coming off of what I thought was a great selection that this feels a little bit weird, but perfect timing. It did feel like a by the numbers kind of thing. It's X number of days after the game is launched. It's a perfect time to announce the next thing to keep people excited. Like, I feel like they did it. They're serving Splatoon right, which is, I feel like that's kind of all that you can ask for. So not really a surprise really in any way other than the selections, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My reaction to it was just like, we got this brand new format. We're excited to see how it's utilized in Splatoon 3. And the first one is just like grub, fun, or gear.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a little
we
bit
don't even use
strange.
that word. The grub is like that's food, I guess. Like, is that we're just
can they say like is that like
Snacks?
a British thing saying grub?
grub? Yeah.
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 Very like 90s thing. Get some grub, right?
They're really attacking the UK, aren't they? With Zelda and
Oh, goodness
having
gracious.
grub in the Splatfest. They're really going for them, aren't they? Yeah, but personally for me, I'm going to pick grub. God, if I'm stuck on an island, I want food.
Oh, you're nuts. Fun all the way.
Fun. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't really care. I'm going to go with whatever Big Man goes with, probably.
Nice,
which I think is, most of the people. However, like if I'm thinking about it logically, I mean, if I'm team gear, then if I have good gear, I can get food and have fun. So if I'm thinking about it logically, maybe I'm team gear, but I'm going to go with Big Man.
That's a lot of thought.
Depends on the island too. They might not have any resources to mine, so it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter.
I think
you just need time.
Maybe just bring something so that you can end it on your own terms. If you're all alone.
That'd be nice.
Dark.
That'd be a good update.
You know what is amazing? Before maybe we get to Zelda, I feel like Ryan Turfords and the Garrett Blands and the RPG lovers out there are screaming at the top of their lungs because I feel like we've danced around somehow, tap danced in a minefield here. We haven't talked about any of the RPGs maybe other than Fire Emblem. Are there any RPGs that kind of like jumped out to you guys? Big surprise for me was Octopath Traveler 2, I think, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. Very curious to see how they advance that series. I think there's a tremendous amount of fairly unanimous feedback on the first game as far as the stories and did they ever intertwine. It's a lot, I think, so I'm very curious on how they kind of keep going with that concept. But yes, Ryan Turford in the chat, Project Octopath Traveler 2. The Octopath's Revenge is what this one is.
Boogaloo.
Were there any on the RPG side?
Well, I'll say this, I feel like I'm not seeing that many people talk. I thought that game Rain Code looked great. Like that from the Danganronpa, team, like that looks awesome. I was like really impressed by that. And I love the Danganronpa games anyway. But I thought that looked really good, and I feel like I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about it. That was a highlight. That would be probably somewhere in my top 5 announcements. Like a new, kind of IP and an interesting concept. I love the visual style of it. It looks awesome.
Yeah, and like for me as well, like Crisis Core, excited to get a release date for that. Was it December 13th off the top of my head? Yeah, so really looking forward to that. Just whether I play it on Switch, I don't know yet. I might play it on PlayStation. But looking forward to that. I think Harvestella, which was shown off at the third-party showcase a couple of months ago, that caught my eye then, and I'm excited to give that a go. A demo has come out now, so we can all give it a go a couple of months before the game's release. So
that was a big one for me. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna grab my Switch Lite and start the download. Where the heck is my Switch Lite? I gotta find my Switch Lite.
Yeah, I got mine all downloaded. I'm gonna have to play it tonight. Looks cool.
Yeah. So that looks cool, but I think they started bringing out like Story of Seasons. So okay, that's cool. Then they literally have like Rune Factory 3 And they've already got Rune Factory 4 and the new game Rune Factory 5, which came out this year in the West on Switch. And they're going back to an old 3DS game. I'm like, they've got so many farming sims. They're going back to old games on 3DS, bringing them over. That's how like serious this farming sim epidemic on Switch for this direct was.
Epidemic.
They're just coming from everywhere, like. And they looked good, mind you, but like, oh, that looks cool. But after a couple, I'm like, oh my God, there's another one. And there was another one, and there was another one. And I was thinking about the people that really do enjoy these games. Well, I feel happy for you, but even if you're super into them, you wouldn't be able to play them all.
Yeah.
In the year or as they release. Because like these games, you put a lot of time into them. And yeah, I was just, it's kind of an interesting thing from Nintendo's marketing team. Like, surely, why would you do that to each game? Like, just like your third-party partners, I think it's just a bad idea to have them just overshadow one another.
Yeah.
And like personally, for me, it doesn't bother me too much because I look at them and I can choose maybe one or two. I'll probably choose like Harvestella, and that probably do me, to be honest. But when I watch like an Xbox conference or like PlayStation conferences or something in the past, I've sort of zoned out because everything's like a first-person shooter, or it's all about violence or whatever, and I sort of zone out a little bit, and it is what it is. But it just depends what you're into. Like, you know, Ryan Turford loves like his JRPGs, and he's in heaven. Whereas like some of us will be like, look, I just need a couple of JRPGs, leave me alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the most interesting thing from the direct, just like as far as like critiquing the actual presentation. It's just how much of a similar thing there was. I don't know why Nintendo sort of decided to do that. I guess like TGS is on, so a lot of their partners making similar games in Japan. It's time to showcase them because they're going to be on the show floor or whatever. I think that's got more to do with it than anything.
Yeah, I think it's
right.
just kind of a function of how many games in general are coming out. This is a September Direct, which is maybe unusual in that we didn't get a June one kind of for E3. Like, this seemed like just an absolute massive dump of games. And you're right, the takeaway is the farm simulator kind of thing, but I'm just kind of like looking at the list, and there is a huge amount of variety here as well. So it's interesting. There's that one genre that seems to dominate, but you've got like It Takes Two, Xenoblade, Tunic, Splatoon. Then you've got Octopath, of course, but Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope was in there again, just as a reminder, like for anybody who keeps forgetting that game is coming out.
I've recently changed my mind on that game too. Like, I wasn't that interested in it until they.
Oh yeah, I couldn't be more.
They said about Rayman coming in the DLC. I'm like, whoa, all right. I think that's hooked me in, because every now and again I just close my eyes and I just imagine if it was Mario plus Rayman, and instead of the Rabbids you had like Glowbox and Barbara and Rayman. I'm like, oh, what could have been? But still looks awesome. It's the Galaxy aesthetic and everything has me pretty excited.
That's just it. I I think Yarden was in the chat earlier saying something like 41 or 42 games here, and I really do think we're kind of an international panel here. You could pick any one of us, and we can't afford this direct. Is always my metric on.
Oh, no.
Do I appreciate it? Is it good? Yeah, pay for it then. Pick the games you like and buy them. And you can't. It's too much money. It's too expensive. So yeah, there's this mix of, that's where a lot of my excitement comes from, but it's undeniable how much similar stuff, especially for people who aren't necessarily like into the genre, like certain things start to look similar, even if they aren't. You know, even if you're just like, wow, I saw a lot of anime today. Like, wow, they're still different. You can still kind of like fine tune and split hairs from there. But yeah, Pikmin is definitely adding to this. Resident Evil with cloud stuff is in there. Bayonetta, of course. Just a tremendous amount of variety that I just want to emphasize as maybe we start to close things out. But the takeaway for most people is one genre they saw the entire time. I just want to maybe challenge that notion a little bit. There was one genre that was probably overrepresented. But Seth, I think that's kind of like where I ended up landing, was just appreciating how many games, like basically a game a minute is kind of where we landed here. It's about 40 games, 40 minutes. Maybe, if it's okay, if there's anything else you guys want to make sure that we discuss, please feel free to let me know. But I would be remiss if we ended the show without talking about those tiers and that kingdom and the sky and the flying and the link. And we finally now know that the sequel to the Breath of the Wild is not called Breath of the Wild 2, but it is Tears of the Kingdom. Seth, are these happy tears or are they sad tears? Whose tears are they?
Definitely happy tears. Definitely happy tears. Well, for me anyway, I really, Zelda's my favorite video game franchise, and I have a deep, deep love for Zelda, and I love Breath of the Wild. I mean, I think most people do. It was cool. It was exciting to get an update. It was a great trailer. The May 12th release date is exciting, to finally have. I think a lot of people were kind of expecting it in March, like we were going to have that parody with the first Breath of the Wild and everything. But it looks cool. And I love anytime there's a new Zelda trailer, I love like going frame by frame and picking it apart and, talking with lore nerds and whatnot about it and kind of trying to figure out what's going on with this game. So, I mean, look, it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild. How can you not be excited?
You bring up a lot there to unpack, but Drew, maybe I'll throw it to you first. Thoughts on Breath of the Wild 2, the Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, it's going to take a bit of time to get used to saying that, isn't it? We're just so used to saying Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2, but just especially since it's a little bit similar. We got of the in the middle, so Tears of the Kingdom. So it's going to be a little bit hard to adjust to it, but I'm sure it won't take too long. But this is pretty much what I wanted. I didn't want too much. I said on Twitter that I wouldn't mind if they just said, look, we'll tell you more about Zelda early next year, and we get a big blowout then, and then the game still comes out in May. We got a quick turnaround, don't have too much hype and all that sort of, stretched out over a long period of time. But yeah, I think this game looks great. I think it's kind of weird because I'm not like super just overly excited. I'm not like vibrating in my seat as I'm watching it.
Yeah.
In my mind, I've very much been like, I've just sort of made myself think like the game is going to come out when it comes out, and when it comes out, I'll play it all weekend. I will not put it down, but I'm not like just losing my mind as far as just waiting for it to come out. So when I'm looking at all these little details and how they cut the trailers together is really strange because unless you pause it, it really makes you sort of like think about what is that mechanic? What's going on? Like we're seeing Link. There's obviously Skyloft is playing a massive role in this game. We saw it in the last trailer for the game as well. It looks like we're like rebuilding Skyloft in some way. Just like bringing parts from Hyrule back up to Skyloft in one of the scenes where Link was using one of his new tools to take a block of land or something up. Mm-hmm. So just like every tiny little bit of that just triggers your intrigue. How you can see Link diving through the clouds when he lands on this. I don't know if it's something from a divine beast or something like a big metal bird that's in the sky.
Yeah,
that he lands on. And is that like a part of transportation in the game? Is that something that's automatically just in the sky that you can sort of catch a ride on, like a big metal bus? It's just
where we
just
drop in Link. Yeah.
That was a funny thing a lot of people were saying too. But then it just shows you like all the stuff on the wall where it looks like it's got the villain of the game. Doesn't look like it's Ganon or a form of Ganon that we've seen before. Princess Zelda's looks like she's been in a lot of trouble as far as what the script says and what the actual name, like Anuma said previously, like they haven't put the name out there because it's going to be a spoiler. But now that they've said the name, Tears of the Kingdom, I don't really know what that means. I don't know if that's just like blown off the main mechanic, and I think they still got to show a little bit more for it to click in my head. Like, is the main mechanic dropping tears on these bits of land to bring them back up? Like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, but it's I'm really excited. It's my number one game. I was looking forward to it. I was expecting it, and I'm stoked that it's coming out May and not later than that. The wait is finally going to end in still a fair while from now, but
yeah,
can't wait, man. It's going to be great.
It has the unfortunate situation to follow up in a way one of the greatest, if not the greatest, video game trailers of all time in my mind, which is the original Breath of the Wild trailer. When they first showed us that, The music, everything, like we hadn't seen anything like it before. I think we all get chills just thinking about like watching that for the first time. It was remarkable in every possible way. The music is something that just sticks with me. The moment with Zelda crying in Link's arms and just all of it just looked incredible. So I'm wondering if this is kind of the narrative for Tears of the Kingdom, in that and similar for God of War as well. Like with these games following up these sequels, it's a tall order. We had a special connection with the original Breath of the Wild. What is this game actually going to do? And if there's any sort of like balancing to my weird optimism out of today, it is that like I have to admit, aside from it like proving its existence, I was a little bit underwhelmed by this trailer, especially when I compare it to the first Breath of the Wild trailer that we got. I don't know what's happening, and maybe that's part of the point. Like we don't know what the story is here. We kind of get a sense of it's going to be enormous and all of that, but like, what's the conflict? And so there's lots more for us to learn, and I'm excited to go along that journey between now and May. But as far as a reveal, like this was a title reveal. Let's be honest. This was a date and a title reveal. Almost nothing else, but surely there's, I don't know, a couple thousand frames of footage for people to comb through and dig out. So Nintendo relies on that sort of thing. But Seth, where are these remakes? And is there enough time for us to still get a remake before this? And what about hardware, my friend? Like those are big questions in my mind. And then maybe we'll round things out with Metroid at the end. But yeah, what are we doing here, man? We still need Twilight Princess. We still need Wind Waker. And this is the only thing they talk to us about.
It is weird. It is because, like, full disclosure, I am one of those where, you know, Nintendo seems like they've wanted a Zelda game every year. This will have been, if no Zelda game comes out this year, this will have been the only year without a Zelda game since the launch of the Switch.
Right.
So it would be really weird if we didn't get some sort of Zelda game, but it's also, I also wonder how much of that we're just kind of like putting on Nintendo as fans.
Right.
Like, maybe Nintendo doesn't actually really care about that all that much internally. And I also wonder, you know, there are a lot of things about this game, Tears of the Kingdom, that are connected directly to Skyward Sword.
The last one we got.
You can totally tell that like they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, they want to make sure that people played Skyward Sword because I'm sure that it's going to connect in some tangential way to Tears of the Kingdom.
Agreed.
Even like we see that little like belt vial thing that Link has in this trailer, and that even to me looks like the spirit tears from Skyward Sword. Like it looks like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, they're on that weird like vine and they're kind of like segmented. It looks really similar. It looks like a modernized version of it to me.
Even diving off the cliff, like it's Sky. Yeah.
It looks just like Skyward Sword, right? So I almost wonder if they don't want to confuse the messaging by putting out those Twilight Princess and Wind Waker before this.
Yeah.
Like if they're like, we don't want to have that in people's mind. We want to have Skyward Sword in people's mind. We want that to be your lasting Zelda memory before coming into Tears of the Kingdom in May. We don't want you to be thinking about Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and then playing this. So that's speculation on my part. I don't know. But, you know, I still, I think they're probably real. I just don't know when they're going to happen, because if they don't get them out before this, what are they going to do? Put it out after Tears of the Kingdom when everybody's just playing that? You know,
right.
Everybody's just playing this now.
Surely
like,
there's a Mario game coming after that at some point.
Yeah.
Surely Donkey Kong will show up at a certain point. You know, it's funny. When we were talking about, I think last week on the show, like we were trying to plot this out. When is all this supposed to happen? We know before today, we knew that Tears of the Kingdom was going to be sometime next year. So it seemed like it was tight already. And maybe Nintendo's just slapping us around a little bit. Like shame on you for believing all those rumors. You should know better by now. We're gonna show you the way. But yeah, Drew, where are you at with these rumors? The games that we're supposed to be getting, we're not getting. Like, is that disappointing, or is it just the way that it is?
I think it would have been great to get them.
I agree.
I really want to play.
I'm with you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I really want to play
I would love it.
Wind Waker on
Yeah.
my OLED. I reckon that and Twilight Princess is one of my top 5 favorite games. I love Twilight Princess. I think it gets a bad rap, but the dungeon design in that game is just unreal. Just got to put
Great
up with a really
dungeons.
slow start. But I think as far as these rumors go, as soon as I saw them, and I've been doing the House of Mario for 5 years, and I looked back at some episodes, like probably in our first year, and the first one was like, it was rumors about the Metroid Prime trilogy.
Oh yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. We've done this roundabout every year, and September, Nintendo has been doing directs in September for 8 years in a row. So anybody who can guess that, they're a bloody genius. Congratulations for guessing there's a direct.
Wow, tell me your insider.
Especially when there hasn't been one in June. It's like, well, there probably will be.
Yeah.
Who knows? There might not be. There might be other plans, but there probably is. And just always like a Metroid Prime trilogy or one remake or the Metroid games. It's never anything interesting where these leakers are saying that, like, oh, look, this is going to be there. I've actually heard news that F-Zero is getting a reboot and it's going to be.
There's a Star Fox racing game for a second there. There was that Star Fox racing game.
True, yeah. I think they probably got burnt by that. Like, oh, look, we can't make it.
That was like, wasn't the whole thought of that was like a fake leak that Nintendo put out to find out who was leaking?
I hope so. Yeah. I really did seem like something like that.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just when it comes to these remakes and like obvious sort of games that are going to move over from Wii U to Switch, we have such a small pool now that we can put it down to Xenoblade Chronicles X and probably these two Zelda games.
Mm-hmm.
And we can make the guess next year. We can make the guess the year after that. And eventually it will probably come real, at least one of the games. In the last year of the Switch, when Nintendo doesn't want to put all their resources into a brand new game that will not sell that well because the Switch is on its way out. That's when we'll probably see one of these games that's a bit like easy money. Because that's what Twilight Princess was on the Wii U.
Yeah.
It had nothing coming out. So like, oh, look, here's that launch Wii game with a nice little bit of plastic, a nice little wolf that you can tap on your gamepad. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just
rumored out.
I'm way too rumored out, man. I
get it.
I know that that's how they make their living, and just obviously I'm talking about I guess the main culprit for this very situation was Jeff Grubb.
Thanks,
Jeff Grubb he seems like a really nice man. I don't want to be mean to him, but Christ almighty. Like and maybe it's the internet's fault for just latching onto it so much. Maybe it's not even his fault necessarily, but every article is just like, oh, look, there's going to be Wind Waker. And there's going to be Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
But then you click into it and it's just Jeff Grubb saying, yeah, we might say it. I could say that. I could say that.
Yeah.
Sean could say it or Seth could say that.
Yeah.
And it has the same amount of weight as it did for anyone else. But
we got to keep track of our accuracy like a batter. Like what are we batting over here? Before we close things out, I thought it would be
I almost wonder like
Sorry, Seth, go ahead. No, I'm going in a totally different direction. You
go for it, Seth.
I was just gonna say I wonder if there's like a sense when you're somebody like a Jeff Grubb where it's like why can't why don't I just not talk about this anymore, because I know that is what a lot of people come to him and his shows and things like that for, but if it were me, I would feel so burned by this. I'd be like, cool, I'm just not going to report on like anything that I do know. If I do think that Nintendo is like sitting on this stuff, if I do hear rumblings about this or that, I'm just literally not going to talk about it anymore. Like if I were him, right?
It makes you wonder what he isn't talking about. I do believe that there is an element of that he's choosing to filter on some things. And it is like, there's some things he gets right enough, I guess. And that's it. Like I said, that's probably a whole other conversation altogether.
Yeah. It's his business model. That's why he keeps saying it.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of people, right? It's their whole thing. Like that's how they put food on the table. And like I get it, but at the same time, I think it's really damaging to the culture, and I think it's probably damaging to them ultimately because broken clocks right twice a day or whatever. But I mean, it's still there's a lot of hours in between where it's not right.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you just throw that clock in the trash.
That's why I'm so frustrated about it. Just like you said, it ruins our culture. Like, we're in this. We're doing a weekly podcast or whatever, and I'm just tired of the whole discourse being around like remakes that could be coming out that are slated as definitely coming out when we've got so many awesome games to talk about. Anyway, let's celebrate some of them. Let's lift up some indie titles instead of talking about a potential GameCube game from 2003 coming out, but I don't know.
I think
we're saltiness.
Well, and I'm with you as well, and I've definitely challenged the notion of what, as podcasters, do we select to choose? Like, nobody's handing us a script. Like, we get to select what the topics of the day are going to be. So maybe we're committing the cardinal sin here. And with the release, I would say, of Splatoon 3, we're now in it, my friends. Prepare to be overwhelmed with games is kind of the message that we come out of this thing with. Splatoon is already taking over the world, and everything else that came out even before that. There's still Xenoblade and everything that we're trying to get through. Unless you're a madman, you've already completed Xenoblade, in which case I want your life. I'm jealous. But we're heading into a pretty crazy time, man. Like, October has really two big games, I would say, from like a first party standpoint, Mario plus Rabbids, and then Bayonetta on the 28th. November, we have Pokemon, which I think is maybe the one and only big one, but that's probably big enough. That's an absolute meteor in November. And then anything in December here. I'm not sure if there's anything there. A bit of Crisis Core, which we got a bit of a thing here, but it wasn't a first party. And then Fire Emblem in January. So we will be busy. Personally, I will be playing probably every one of those games except for Bayonetta, because it's going to score 65 on Metacritic, and I'll take that to the bank. I'm taking it to my grave. I will probably be wrong about that, but that is what I have declared. But there's tons of games here. That's really what I'm getting at, you guys. Lots to be celebrating. Seth, any final thoughts or anything you want to make sure that we hang on before we close up shop here, my friend?
I'll just quickly mention, because it's wild that we didn't mention it, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
It's not that wild.
Yeah.
Just quickly, it's pretty wild that we didn't mention that. That's a Wii game remake. That's pretty cool. And it's got a great redesign of DDD. So I just wanted to shout that out real quick.
Good call. Nice, man. Drew, how about you, man? Anything that we really should have captured here? Any closing thoughts as we end out our discussion on the Nintendo Direct September 2022?
I think we covered most of it. I think just from my perspective, like the cloud versions of the Resident Evil Village, I was surprised to see that that's available in Australia. The other games haven't been, like Control and all that. So I'm interested to see how that works. I played a little bit on like xCloud and stuff, and it just does not work with my internet. So yeah, I might try the demo just for shits and gigs, I think. So see how it goes. But typically streaming does not work in my household. But I'm happy with it, man. I'm happy with what the Direct was. There was a lot of stuff I was just sitting through, just going, oh yeah, like it's not for me, or I don't want to. I've got too much of a backlog anyway, or whatever have you. But I've got definitely a good handful of games that I'm really excited for, and I think it's going to be it filled in those gaps between when we'll typically get another Direct. Probably get another one in February. Yeah, so just like between then, there's now Fire Emblem, there's Octopath Traveler 2, there's we got release date for Crisis Core. There's like a few gaps that are sort of filled up there. So, give me a little bit more anxiety. Like, more games to play. Jesus Christ!
Just on Switch. If you only have Switch, you're doing all right. And I'm glad you brought those up, because like, where would those Zelda ports go? There's no room for anything else. I think we're jammed. Yeah. Can we declare it's full? We're sold out. Like where there's no more room for anything else. This is it. Somehow in the back of my mind, I still think Nintendo's going to announce these remakes like next week, some tweet or something like that. Will. You know what I mean? They just have like this 40-minute opportunity. They give 90% of it to Square Enix, and then they'll give Zelda like a tweet or something. So you never know.
Remake will be a tweet tomorrow.
Totally.
Just wait. Yeah.
It's a crazy time, man, but I've had a great time chatting with you fine gentlemen this evening, just recapping the Nintendo Direct. September 2022, it happened. We have a Zelda game. Pikmin Bloom is still a thing. Seth, do you want to let everybody listening where they can find you and all of your absolutely astonishing content on the internet, my friend?
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. What a treat to come on here and hang out with y'all. You can find me at $2 Hero, all spelled out, on Twitter. My podcast is All In, a Nintendo podcast. That's All In Podcast, ALLN Podcast. You can find that, pretty much everywhere as well. And we're a weekly Nintendo variety show. Fun times.
Amazing. I really appreciate collaborating with you this evening. You're amazing. Drew, Agnew, the House of Mario. Tell the internet, if they're not already listening, you might already be listening to the House of Mario podcast feed, so that makes this slightly awkward. But tell anybody who's listening on the Nintendo Drive where they can find you and all that good stuff, my friend.
I'm on Twitter at iDruby, and you can find the show on all your podcast services and my YouTube channel, youtube.com/iDruby. So yeah, just type in the House of Mario there. You also find Encore at the House of Mario, which is our after party Nintendo podcast, where you can find interviews and solo discussions and review discussions and stuff that I could just separate from the main news sort of cesspool that happens each week. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I want to vouch for you boys. I'm patrons of both of your channels. I love what you guys do. So if anybody wants to go and check anyone out, it's got to be you guys at Carpool Gaming and All In and Nintendo Podcast.
Well, now I guess
you're being modest.
But he's also making it so that like I should probably say you guys should go check out the House of Mario. That's where the really good stuff is. Like I'll check off that box. True. Thanks for showing up tonight, man. Or today, this morning, tomorrow, whatever it is in Australia time. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Sean Capri, at Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. You can find us at Carpool Gaming on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and everywhere else. But it would be incredible if you all subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, where we've got basically a video and or podcast a day. Patreon.com/Carpool Gaming to support us at an incredible level. That's it. That's all. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.